Happy New Month. Like play, according to October. Okay, so for today, we would brush through HFX, right? Just talk just a little thing about using the indicators available, and we'll talk about psychology because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Okay, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. So let's choose a normal currency pair. First of all, let's say AUDJPY. And since it's HFX, we perhaps don't really have a business with the 1 hour time frame for us on the daily time frame, right? The 15 minutes time frame is just like our daily time frame on trading the HFX, because you don't need those long time frames, right? So first things first is to mark up your areas of interest first. This is the highest point on this chart, and this is the lowest point, right? On a broad spectrum, this looks like a ranging market. What's happening? This looks like a ranging market, but if you look at it well, it looks like a subtle downtrend as well. It's a bit confusing, but when you see yourself in situations like this, do your markup regardless. So what areas am I seeing any area with consistent support? Not really. Okay, I can see this point, right? I can see this area at the market broke. This is like the midpoint. If I'm looking at it, this is like a midpoint. As if I place a horizontal line here, you're gonna see like a cut across through many supports, right? So this chart is it's not the smoothest, but let us mark out our key areas first off. We have the highest points, we have this lowest point. If I will have this, can mark this as a very good support anyway. So let's do that. Right. This is appearing like a very good support. Then can I get an area? Okay, this is also a pretty good. Okay, let me use this one. I think this one should be better. And this is what I'm looking at. This support here, this resistance here, right? Support. So this is like our midpoint. Then for the highest point we have here is this area. Now, when you see yourself in this kind of confusing chart that doesn't have any precise, clear direction, just mark out your key levels and now activate your indicators to now guide you, right? Okay. You can have this. You can have this highest point. Let's just mark this highest point and I'll chip. So based on what we have here, the market is at a support area. So of course we're expecting a buy at the support area, right? So for this to make more sense, let's go down to the 15 minutes. So on the 15 minutes, based on what you're looking at here, it is a seemingly downtrend. So what we'll be expecting is for it to get to a resistance point and start going down. And on this particular area, okay, I don't want to be infusing break and roll tests here and there. I just want to mark what this chart is showing me, right? If I'm to look at a support, if I'm to look at a clear support here on this 5 minutes time frame, I'm seeing this area, all right? So let me mark it out as well. This is a zone I'm seeing right here. One, two, three, break. So do I expect the market to sell at this point? Let's just watch it. So since I'm working with indicators, right, I have my key areas. What next? I can activate them. Let me add my DMI stochastic. The essence of all of this, right? So you can see with my DMI stochastic, the market is overbought already. So you're waiting for a sell opportunity. Now, even without this, even without having this indicator right here, you already know that this is a break and retest. So at this point, it's valid for a 5-minute sell because we are looking at 5 minutes or a 15-minute sell, right? So you can see how the reaction is just playing out already because of this area we saw here. Okay, so apart from that, now why do you need the indicators, right? Just for the knowledge, so that it's not as though I don't know about indicators. You should know about them, use them. Then over time, if you feel you don't have any need of these indicators, then you can let them be. All right. The essence of the community is to give you every necessary knowledge that is needed. Right. It's just like having an arsenal. Then I choose the weapon I will serve you. Right. We'll give you options. Master as much as you can. Then at the end of the day, use what works for you. Right. Use what works for you. Now we have our VDOP. Should I use a Vancouver? Right. So if you're looking at this now, the market has been trending low for the longest time, right? And this is a point, this is a reversal point. Like from the 15 minutes time frame, this is a supposed zone where we expect the market to start trending upward, right? We expect the market to start trending upward. Because I said one of the things to know, we're expecting a reversal here though. A reversal should happen around here, right? Might be a short-term reversal, might be a long-term reversal. But looking at this trend, this is a downtrend, right? Perhaps it might still be on that short-term reversal, just like we've been having here. It broke the lower zone of this Bollinger Band, pulled back in. It's been using the Bollinger Band as a resistance. Kept selling to touch the end of this Bollinger Band and start selling, right? Now, another thing to know is that this EMA, if the market is above this EMA, you're looking out for buy opportunities. Now, the market, this is a downtrend. And what's the market showing you here is below the EMA. In fact, it's also using it's using the Bollinger Band as a resistance. So is it acting with the EMA as well, right? Acting with the EMA as a resistance as well, right? Now, in this crazy trendy market, to get these pink zones, right, are relatively doesn't come by that easily, right? So I can see when the last pink zone we got was like way down here before the market did this crazy buy. And the next pink zone we are seeing now is right here, just at the point we took our sell, even before we activated these indicators. So you can see that You seeing this tells you that, yeah, for real, this indicator aligns with me. So this is to tell you that this sell is very valid. So imagine you took, this is a clear zone that anywhere. You're just combining the indicators to tell you, okay, you're on the right path. Okay. So we took this sell even before we explained these indicators. And what happened here? It showed us that, yeah, they're valid. See how that strong sell. So if this were a 5-minute sell, you're reading very good profits. All right. The candle ends in 17 seconds. All right. So this is how to break down your chart. Even if it's confusing, right? Those subtle areas, they matter, right? If you see an area with equal support, equal resistance, mark it out. The rule is that whenever a support is broken, a retest would occur, right? Whenever a support or resistance is broken, a retest is bound to happen, right? And the main thing also is to trade in line with the trend. So if it's a downtrend, ensure, right, to get yourself or to spot a selling opportunity. If it's a buy trend, ensure to get a buying opportunity, right? If it's a reversal in this case, right, this is a long-term support area. So if you've taken a 15 minutes buy off this zone, you probably made a good profit. 1, 2, 3 is a very good profit, right? So now imagine you took a buy of this zone and it got here. You took a 15 minutes buy here and it got here. You took a 5-minute sell. All in profits, right? You don't have to be so rigid as you get to learn this skill set, right? In your early stage, you should be rigid. Stick with the rules, follow them like a zombie. As a session coach Mike actually had, being a zombie trader. It helps in your psychology, right? Follow them like a zombie. But over time, as you get good, you know how to mitigate all of this based on the experience you have. Yeah, you can take a counter trend trade, right? Based on the experience you have, you can see a very strong downtrend, and you know that a pullback, and you spot a valid pullback. It's based on the experience you have, that you take a buy on that valid pullback you're seeing. That's a counter trend trade, right? Over time, your intuition will guide you even more. You can see a particular setup. You just know that this is going to sell or this is going to buy. Hop on it. In fact, one of the best ways to handle those kind of intuitions is use a demo account. Just use a demo account, see it. Then now investigate, okay, what actually made me take this sell? And what made it play out? It happens. There's some trade, you don't think too much. It clicks and it goes through. Right? So now let's pair this. Let's look at the other indicator. That's that of Evan Cabral. Right, you can see same thing right here, same thing, right? So in essence, like I said earlier, what these indicators do for you is to show you, guide you, support the idea you already have. Now this guy is trending downwards. Where is our next target point? That's the question. If you break this support, where are we targeting next? That is where you get to expand your charts, right? You can go to the higher time frame, perhaps the 1 hour. What's wrong with the network? My network spikes me out. Now, what was I saying? Yeah, if the market, gets to break this particular low we are looking at here, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know. Like, I don't know what the heck is wrong with this stuff. Yeah, like I said, yeah. Sorry about that. My router keeps connecting and disconnecting. I don't know why. So looking at this, by next reasonable low, and I think the market might get to, is this area, right? So since the market started selling aggressively, since the market broke this support area here, I might perhaps wait for a pullback and for the sell to continue, right? But now I've gotten my next reasonable low. I go back to the 5 minutes time frame, right? Waiting to see if I can get a pullback here to sell. So, and also remember, if you've taken a 15-minute sell here, it's still going deep, right? So at the end of the day, if you can see here, all right. So at the end of the day, the indicators are just there to show you the ropes, to tell you, okay, yes, you're on the right path, right? So alongside all of this, alongside all of this, when you start trading on your own, your psychology will be tested. You'll be tested, right? You'll be tested. And how you handle these losses, they matter, right? Perhaps, I don't know if you're not forced here, have started taking trades on their own, right? Because if you have, you won't tell me you've not encountered losses. Now, when you encounter these losses, how do you handle them? How do you see these losses? Do you see them as enemies that needs to be defeated? Or do you see them as perhaps allies you need to learn from? Do you see them as part of the journey? Or do you see them as something to be avoided? You know, there is law. What you really want to avoid, you experience. Because the more you actively want to avoid something, you constantly think about it. And the more you think about it, you attract it. The more you want to avoid something, the more you think about it. And the more you think about it, you're bound to attract it. That's why sometimes you hear the saying, what I fear the most has finally happened to me. No, you don't really fear the most. You say, what I've been thinking about the most has finally happened to me. All right. So when it comes to your psychology in trading and handling losses, see them as part of the journey. Right? See them as part of the journey. Don't let them break you. In fact, for you not to allow the losses break you, you have to handle it the right way. All right? You know, it's always, I can repeat the cliche, don't revenge trade, don't chase the market, don't. See, most times I tell you, when you're in the face of it, you forget every single thing. When you're in the face of it, you forget every single. You forget, oh, I'm not supposed to reach so amount in a day. I'm not supposed to take more than how many losses in a day. You forget everything. Once your mind is either making back the loss or something else, because it can either be greed, let me make more money. Perhaps the market favored you for a while. You're like, you know what? Let me take advantage of all of this. If I could make this, how much more this? If I could make this with this amount, how much more with this amount? And HFX, where you know that, in fact, it applies same with MD5. You know, where you can easily put in your entries by just tapping on your screen. HFX, you're going with a particular risk. Then you see one setup, you're like, you know what? I go all in on this setup, go hard or go home. Man, you'll be going home very soon. Right? You go in, 10 entries, 5% risk, 50% floating. And you're so lucky it clears. You're like, dang, this is good. You flip your account in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You're like, this is good. You go in again, 20 entries. You risk your whole account. And you're so lucky it goes well. You're like, damn, this is amazing. And you think that's so easy. I mean, you think that's how easy it comes by. The market will shock you if you're not careful. Yeah, it's good to take 1 or 2 huge home runs. Amazing. But that shouldn't be a pattern. You can get lucky today. I bet you the market will bite you the next time you try it. Right? I don't want to dwell much on this psychology, but it's very, very key. It's very, very key. In fact, that's what the markets will review you to yourself. That's just it. If you're a patient person, the market will reveal that. If you're an impatient person, the market will reveal that. In fact, one thing you should know that here, to have a healthy psychology, you ought not to think like a normal human, right? You ought not to think like a normal human. That's just what it is. To have a healthy psychology here, you ought not to think like a normal human. Because a normal, okay, look at this, right? This is for MT5, right? You took a trade at this point, at point A. You took a trade at point A, right? You took a sell, perhaps. The market sold a little, then trended upward. Your normal human instinct will tell you, damn, this is a discount price. Or let's say this is a premium price to sell at. If I could sell, imagine you have an iPhone you want to sell at 500k. If I could sell this iPhone at 500k, and I have the opportunity to sell the same iPhone at 700k, how many of us, normal human being, will jump on the opportunity to sell again at 700k? What do? You add to your losses, or you add to your existing loss. Yeah, and perhaps the market trended up again. Giving you that, but like, you know what? If I sell this iPhone at 800k, it won't be bad. Now you're not targeting, imagine. Now, of course, your TP or whatever, maybe around here. You're not hoping, you know what? You're adding to your losses, hoping the market will hit your TP. This in itself is a wrong trading strategy. Yeah, it makes sense as a normal human. It really makes sense. If you meet any trader, I mean a market trader, okay, not forex, a literal businessman, right? This makes sense. If any businessman sees this opportunity, that's a good opportunity. But in trading, that's not the best bet. Adding to your losers will end up, in fact, imagine you risked exactly. Imagine you risking 5% of your account on this particular trade, or let's say 1%. You've ended up, and one funny thing is that as you add to these losers, you're going in with higher stop loss, with higher lot. You're risking 1% here, you're increasing to 2 here, you're increasing to 3 here, all in the hope of making that huge profit. Right? See, when trading MT5, one of the things you do for yourself when doing your personal analysis or when doing your personal trading, try, I tell you, see, it's going to be hard, right? Try to never try to never add to a losing trade. In fact, see, let the opportunity be so. Try to never, right? You can add, but let it be okay. This is like an initial entry I missed out on. Okay, the market has gotten to an entry. Let me now go in. Let it not be based off, oh, this is an opportunity to get more on this trend. Right? Try not to add to a losing entry. Now, this is what is hard then. Now, let me show you what is hard for a normal human being. You're getting at a point, right? Point A. Wow, amazing. The market is trending downwards, just like you anticipated. This is so good. A normal human being becomes scared. Now, the thing is, we get fearful when we should be hopeful, and hopeful when we should be fearful. It happens. See, you're a human, and that's why it will make perfect sense to you. The market is against you. You are in high hopes. What is making you add a trade? You are hopeful that it's going to drop. What is making you hold to a freaking losing position? If I want to make you move your stop loss in a trade you have that is going against you, you are hopeful. You know, how can this market go against me? I know. It's the God that I serve. What the heck are you talking about? That the trade will come down to you? Now, when the trade is now moving in your favor, instead of you to become hopeful that, yes, this trade, I expect it to actually trend to the lowest of the lowest, you become fearful. I don't want this guy to take me out. I don't want this profit I'm seeing now. Maybe you are seeing like floating 500, floating 200, floating 100, floating 50, floating $20. I don't want this $20 I'm seeing now to just become minus or take me out at break even. Let me, in fact, I think let me just close. You cut your loss, you take early wins, right? A normal human being does that. Now, here's the difficult thing to do. Adding to these winners. I bet you this is one of the most difficult things to do. Seeing a winning trade and adding to that winning trade. Market keeps selling, you're adding, of course, with lower risk, lower lot size, and riding it down. This is very hard to do. Try it one day and see how uncomfortable you will be. A consistently profitable trader is a trader that does the most uncomfortable things. And of course, over time, it gets comfortable with those uncomfortable things. This right here is very hard. Or let's use HFX. You take a 15-minute sell. The market is against you. You're like, you know what? I know this will sell. Let me enter on that 15 minutes. In fact, you know what? Let me make it 5 minutes so that even if it doesn't clear on my 15 minutes, it will clear on these 5 minutes. You are messing with yourself. So, family, right? It's not about, there's no rushing here. I tell you, there's no rushing here. There are always seasons where the market will be against you, no matter what you do. That season is always there. It's the market. In fact, sometimes it can be your own personal thing, right? All your strategies are not just aligning for this particular period. The goal game is to stay through that period. Because I don't know how many of us have been trading here. If you've observed, the market, in fact, when you've blown your account or had a huge loss, the market starts respecting your strategies or your setups after those huge losses. It's simply just to tell you that that season was literally a bad season. If you had survived that particular season, no matter how long it is, a week, a month, a day, 3 days, you would actually make back whatever it is you lost in that season. Right. And another thing that also does that is that your mind is clear. After the losses is like a refresh. If you know what, you're not seeing clear. During those lost days, perhaps you're not seeing clearly. Sometimes, not most times. In fact, for a good number of time, yeah, we trade our emotions. We trade what we think we see. We trade what our mind is telling us. We trade our bias. That happened to me sometime a few weeks ago, sometime last month. You hold on to an idea that I expect this market is supposed to buy here. This market is supposed to buy here. That is what you are telling the market what to do. And you're banking on that. You are holding on to a mental bias about a particular trade. You are not trading what the chart is telling you. You are trading what your mind is telling you. See, if it hasn't happened to you, it will happen to you. It's just a matter of time. One thing about trading is that you see it. You see it. There is no two ways about it. You see it. But now, it wouldn't be worth it to experience same thing those you're learning from have experienced and go through the same lessons. So you know what? It won't be worth it. The best thing is when you see traces of this, you remember, oh, I was told this. Okay, I was told if I experience this kind of thing, I should just pause, leave the charts, or focus on backtesting and just studying the market. Right? I was told, okay, if I experience something like this, I should just leave the chart entirely, look for something else, focus my time on. So when I get back, I'm refreshed. Constantly looking at the charts, this is a brain work, and your brain can be fatigued. This happened to me sometime last week. I was messed up mentally. I had to just take a mental break, make effort to see well again. Right? So that is it. I believe you got something today. I believe you got something because this will also help you. Even you being in a community where profitable signals are being dropped for you, you still can mess it up. We can be profitable as a community, but you are in a drawdown. Why? Your psychology messed up on you. Right? So family, that is it for this morning. I believe you got something. I believe and I hope you apply what you got. It's a jungle in here, but it can also be a paradise. You have the power to make it that. You have the power to make it that. You have the power to make it that. It can be a jungle for you. It can be a paradise. Right? Cheers and have an amazing morning. All the best, family. You're welcome. All right. And if you have NFP this Friday, so anticipate opportunities to make more money. All right, family. Cheers.